Hey everyone, Michael here. New breaking news out of FTX and Sam Bankman Fried and now Congress. So, we all know there's a hearing coming up on the 13th and we should have a lot of light being shed on the situation here. But here's a few things I want you guys to understand. Maxine Waters is going to be chairing that committee until Republicans take over in January. And you know that Democrats have to appear to at least be impartial after taking all this money from Sam during the last election cycle. It's going to be very hard for them to do that, and rightfully so. If he gave money to the Republicans, they'd be in the exact same situation here, and both sides would be bought. That's the sad thing. Now, when I'm looking at all this stuff, and you might see Loki climb on my shoulder here in a second, I want you to keep that in mind when you read this exchange here on Twitter. Now, we have Maxine Waters about 2 days ago going to Twitter and saying, at Sam Bankman Fried, we appreciate that you've been candid in your discussions about what happened at FTX. That's a lie. That's not good response from a representative. Your willingness to talk to the public will help the company's customers, investors, and others. To that end, we would welcome your participation in our hearing on the 13th. Okay, so she's asking to say, hey, we like what you've done so far. Why not come in front of the hearings and explain a little bit more so we can have an understanding of what exactly happened? So maybe this is the formal way process is supposed to work. We can make better regulation to stop this stuff from happening again. Because Democrats, at least at this point, aren't willing to say he committed fraud. They're just saying, oh, he was just a kid. He didn't know any better. It grew too fast, out of his control. How would he know? That type of stuff. And it's sad to watch, honestly. But you can read some of these replies right here. You as the chairman of the committee itself can subpoena him to testify. No need to ask nicely on Twitter. It's House Rule 11, Clause 2M, but I'm sure you already knew that. All right? Now, here's Sam's response a couple days later. Representative Waters and the House Committee on Financial Services. Once I have finished learning and reviewing what happened, I would feel like it is my duty to appear before the committee and explain. I am not sure that will happen by the 13th, but when it does, I will testify. Now, nobody can respond to this. Nobody can respond to this message here. But this leads me to believe that his lawyers do not want him coming to America because they know if he does, he'll most likely be arrested on the spot by the Justice Department here. Now, he says, once I have finished learning and reviewing what had happened, he doesn't have access to that anymore. He is no longer the CEO. He's been kicked out. So he can only do minor stuff on the sides and nobody's going to give him information because, as you guys might have learned, he forced a lot of the employees to have all of their bank accounts and all their accounts on FTX to be part of the group. And so I don't think there's going to be any love lost between all these employees who lost everything and him trying to find a way to find out exactly what happened. He knows what happened. He's thinking of a good way to explain it in court and under oath so he can lie about it. That's not going to happen within the next 2 weeks. So I'm hoping that Maxine Waters, or maybe Republicans when they take back the House in January, they will start bringing down the hammer. I think what we might see, guys, is a very nice and easy, approach to going up against Sam. But once Republicans take over, I think they'll bring down the hammer, and Democrats may get a little bit embarrassed about all this. But I mean, at this point, screw their feelings. We just want to know what happened, and we want to know how bad the fraud was. And then when they have all the information, they can just give it to the Justice Department, and I guarantee the Justice Department is already getting a lot of that information done right now. But he can't go in front of Congress and lie unless he has enough practice, because we all know he committed fraud. The only people that don't know he committed fraud are mainstream media and, legacy newspapers. Maybe a couple idiots with a whole bunch of money. That's about it. Everybody else knows he committed fraud. Accounts on FTX were used as leverage for Alameda Research. It was a debacle. It was a disaster. And he gets caught in these lies all the time when you see him on those different news shows like we just saw a few days ago, right? So take it easy, everybody. Let me know what you guys think about this. But, man, it just keeps on getting worse for him. And I'm all for that, but I'd like to have a closure for this. And I don't really want to wait for Republicans in January for that to happen.